Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Trey, and I want to talk about Absolute Martian Manhunter. Actually, I thought I talked about Absolute Martian Manhunter. No, I didn't. I'm talking about the comic book. I read the comic book, issue number one. But good news, people are liking it. Apparently, it had a spiking surge for issues, and people are buying it, which extended the comic book run to not a 6 issue limited series, but to 12 issues. That's really good. So, because at first it was just going to be a 6 issue thing, and now because of the, I guess, goodwill that people brought the comic book, is going on to 12 issues, which I think that's great because Lord knows the Martian Manhunter needs love anyway. So I'm kind of happy for it. Honestly, if you ask me, like I've always said, if there's characters who need a comic book constantly, no matter what, it's the 7 Justice League members. So you have Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, Flash, Aquaman, Green Lantern, and Martian Manhunter. Almost all of those characters have ongoing runs, except for Martian Manhunter. So now with Absolute Martian Manhunter, maybe we can get an actual Martian Manhunter solo run to expand because I feel like take what Young Justice did, the show, and take a little bit of what you're doing in Absolute Martian Manhunter and a little bit of the main continuity stuff and kind of, tweak it a little bit. I understand that it's not going to be a popular book, but I feel like kind of like how we kept forcing Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel or whatever. I'm not saying force Martian Manhunter on us, but Martian Manhunter as a founding member of the Justice League should have a foundational book. You get what I'm saying? Like, does that kind of make sense? What I'm saying? I'm not saying like force it on us, but it needs to constantly have a book run going to expand on the character because a lot of people don't know, especially with what's going on with it right now, with his powers being given to other characters. Because Justice League Unlimited, we find out that he lost a few of his powers and abilities, and I think they're in other characters. I forgot what characters they are in, but that could help, you know, challenge and do a little bit more stuff besides just putting his storyline in just Justice League. You get what I'm saying? Like Martian Manhunter only gets his stories told when he's in the team books, but let's do a solo book. You get what I'm saying? Have some supporting cast members, grow up his world. You know what I mean? Because he's an interesting character. It's just that DC doesn't really do anything with him. I'm just saying I think it's really cool that he's able to get a new solo run, and people are actually loving it because of the trippy colors or whatever. Because there's smoke representing different facets of people because empathy. So you know how everybody you remember how we have moonstones. Think about like that as the reason how John's able to kind of see people through smoke because he's a smoker or whatever. But I mean, basically, the book opens up with him surviving an explosion because he's a detective for the FBI, and he was in a building explosion, and they were like, "It's a miracle that you survived." His wife is trying to figure out like, is everything okay? Because he's kind of like, oh, I'm fine, but she feels like he's going back to work too soon. He's feeling a little distant from everybody. Things are starting to be off. He's starting to feel alienated, and he's starting to see things in color. So it's like this trippy, zippy kind of comic book or whatever. And the comic book uses the colors to kind of tell the story since it's kind of like, oh, he's smoking kind of like psychedelic weed and all that kind of stuff because we want to try to make this looks like a trippy out of world, out of body experience or whatever. And from what it looks like what they're doing is Martian Manhunter and Jon Jones are two personalities. It's just that the Martian Manhunter persona has been, kind of locked away for a long time, and now finally it's out. It's with the with him having his accidents, kind of releasing that. And I don't think he's Martian Manhunter. Like I don't think he's from Mars, but he's an alien, and in the way of how we used to think what aliens used to look like, the little Gumby kind of thing, where they had a gray skin, big head, big arms, wide feet, or whatever, stuff like that. I think that's where they're going. And what's happening is that while John is investigating what's going on with how the fire started and the investigation that the FBI gave him or whatever, even though, his doctors and them are asking, are you sure you're up to this? He's like, no, I'm fine. But he starts coughing a lot, and he's starting to see people's thoughts. He's starting to hear people's thoughts. It's like getting really trippy and crazy. Like, you got to really turn the comic book to different side points or whatever to understand what's going on with Jon Jones. You know what I'm saying? I know it's kind of crazy to really say that, but yeah, it is psychedelic. It really is a psychedelic comic book going on. His, the wife is trying to get him to kind of open up about the situation. She's starting to feel like he's a little distant. He's talking to his son. His son, he's trying to get to know his son a little bit more or whatever. Basic kind of like, oh, okay, here's my son. I'm trying to, you know, trying to talk to him, trying to, get to know him. Not like he's not knowing him, but he's a teenager at this time, and you know how teenagers are. You know how we can get kind of angsty a little bit or whatever, not really want to try and talk to our dads or whatever. And he wanted to try to, connect with him. And he was modeling his family. And he was like, what you got there? And he was like, where's daddy at? And then he points over there to the little Gumby version of him or whatever. And John's in the bed. He's thinking. He's trying to figure out what's going on. He's trying to piece everything together. Like, his mind is just sporadic, and it looks like every time when he closes his eyes, he sees the Martian Manhunter, the alien, the version of him that he's like subconsciously, like, I guess suppressed all these years. So, but it makes you wonder what is real and what isn't real. But it looks like it's a split kind of personality. So that makes you wonder, like, is his family his family, or is it them watching him because they know that he's an alien or something like that? So it just gets you to kind of think. You know what I mean? So it's an interesting topic when you kind of think about it in a metaphorical sense of, like, you have this character, he's believed that he's human, but an accident happened, and now, like, what he suppressed all these years ago is now coming out, and it's kind of coming out in smoke, because he's a smoker. He's a heavy smoker. So he's coughing, and every time he's coughing, the smoke turns into something else. Like, his mind is racing all over until we have this final scene where we see the alien version of Absolute Martian Manhunter call out to John. And that's pretty much what we left off from the comic book. But overall, it wasn't a bad comic book. It was interesting. It makes you wonder what more DC is going to do with Martian Manhunter, Absolute Martian Manhunter, and to see where it goes, because it can go in so many different ways. This is a different universe and a different style. But hey, it is what it is. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section below, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.